What's up, you guys? I thought I would hit on this. Every once in a while you have guys who are really good, they're really fast, or more often than not you'll have guys who think they're really fast and they'll touch off a round without being on target. And what's happening is when they're drawing and clearing from the holster, their finger is already on the trigger and they're already starting to take out the slack. And I know that there have been some competition shooters who say that when you draw, go ahead and start your presentation, finger on the trigger, and start taking out the slack as you're bringing up your presentation to put your sights on target. That is wrong. There is nothing that you can do in a tenth of a second that you cannot do correctly in that tenth of a second. And if you're observing the firearms safety rules, the 4 universal firearm safety rules, excuse me, finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. So if you're drawing from the holster and you're shooting at the ground, or you're shooting at the target and you hit the ground below the target, you obviously were not ready to fire. So think about that, because there's your little sage of wisdom for you firearms experts and boogaloo boys and whatever else. Because if you obey the 4 universal firearms safety rules, treat every weapon as if it's loaded, never point a weapon that you don't intend to anything you don't intend to shoot, which makes me think of the appendix carry and the stupidity there. Keep your weapon on safe until you're ready to fire, and keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. If you do those things, you will never have a negligent discharge. And of course, equipment comes into play, quality holsters, especially if you're appendix carry. Please get a quality holster. If you're running around with a $600 or $700 Glock and you're trying to conceal it, at least get a $200 holster that you can use that's proficient with what you're doing. But just wanted to touch on that because that's a negligent discharge, and we'll see guys doing this from time to time because they think they're either shit hot or, you know, sometimes they are, but they're not observing the safety rules. So especially if you're an NRA instructor, are you observing the rules or are you not observing the rules? Is it okay not to observe the rules sometimes? Is it okay not to observe the rules if you want to go really fast? No, it's never okay. That's why they're called rules. They're not called maybes or otherwises or unlesses. They're called rules. So never touch the trigger until your sights are on target, and then you start your trigger press. Even when guys scan, you know, military or people are taught to scan with their finger on the trigger, slack taken out. I teach it as well. There are times when I don't teach it, and I specifically explain why not to teach it. I don't want a housewife who goes to the range once every 2 years to be waving a pistol around in her house with her finger on the trigger with the slack taken out, because her teenager is going to come in after a night of early drinking or smoking weed with his buddies, step around a corner, and she's going to pop him in the chest by accident because she was frightened and jerked that trigger. So there are reasons that you do and reasons that you don't. But as far as the universal safety firearms rules, the 4 universal rules, there's never a reason to break one of those. Bob Smith, blood makes you related, loyalty makes you family. Until next time, out.